Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Policy Ball of ORF Middle East. I'm Eszter Karacsony, Associate Fellow in Geopolitics at ORF Middle East, and I'm delighted to be joined by Her Excellency Romana Vlahutin, Croatia's Special Envoy for Strategic Connectivity and the Three-Seas Initiative. The latter can be described as a platform that brings together 13 EU member states located between the Baltic, Adriatic, and Black Sea, with the aim of enhancing connectivity between them through the development of transport, digital, and energy infrastructures. Croatia is one of the involved member states. Your Excellency, fostering cooperation in the field of connectivity is not new to you, as you also served as EU Special Envoy for Connectivity between 2019 and 2022, and you led and oversaw the Union strategy in the field. Connectivity with its strategic logic and initiatives form part and is supported by your knowledge and expertise in the fields of foreign policy and diplomacy, for instance. In light of the above, please allow me to start our conversation by exploring the European Union's regional and multi-regional connectivity rationale, goals, and prospects in an era marked by geopolitical competition and geoeconomic fragmentation, which alter existing trade patterns and reshape commercial relations. Thus, to start, could you please elaborate on the underlying logic, the main pillars, and the key objective of the EU's vision and approach to connectivity in the current decade?
Thanks a lot, and very happy to be with you. As you said, I was first and the only EU Special Envoy for connectivity at the time. I started working at the time when it was actually really hard to explain what connectivity meant, because it meant many things to many people. Some associated it only with digital connectivity, others only with transport, and it was seen as a technical thing. You move something from A to B and you try to make it efficient and as cheap as possible and as quick as possible. But then the COVID hit, and all of a sudden, people realized there's something called value chain. There is something called, not me being able to get the things I'm used to have. And I think for Europe, that was a first shock or the first sort of moment of understanding on how dependent we are on these supply chains and these value chains, and that not having access to some really strategic goods is harmful, both for the economy but also just basic security. And then Russian invasion on Ukraine made it obvious to everyone that our dependency or European dependency on Russian energy has brought Europe in a very unfavorable situation. And all of a sudden, people started realizing that when we talk about connectivity, you really talk about a system of dependencies that are underlined by the strategic infrastructure. And that and in this time and in our century, actually, almost the only, short of war, the only proactive way you can reorganize your strategic context and the situation you are in is by and through strategic infrastructure. Now, all of a sudden, I think you meet the word connectivity everywhere, and at every single conference there's discussion on connectivity, and it is sinking in that it is of immense importance to understand this system of dependencies, to understand what are the goods that you want to onshore, what are the goods that you can nearshore and friendshore, what are the goods you can afford to not be so so vigilant about, etc. So there is a lot of thinking and a lot of prioritizing in terms of these value chains and the logic of things that you want to be in control of. And for European Union, Russian attack on Ukraine brought another change for historical reasons. For very many decades, all European connectivity was going east-west. And now there is no east anymore, in a sense, or there is a space that we are not working with anymore. And there is a massive turn towards north-south, which I believe is with us to stay for a number of reasons, and which will need some serious investments as well, because again, for historical reasons, there was much more development on this east-west vector. So there's a lot of work to do, and this is what we will talk about it a bit later, but this is what the 3Cs initiative is all about. It's the north-south connectivity on the European, let's say, east-southeast arc.
Thank you so much. I think it's a very helpful overview, and indeed, as you mentioned, it became to some extent a buzzword, but also a notion and a strategic logic and rationale with incredibly significant meaning, both on the regional, multi-regional, and of course global level. Which brings me to my second question, of course, based on the ORF Middle East also located, it seems to be a pertinent question. How does the Middle East fit within the new multi-regional connectivity vision and strategic initiatives?
It's a very interesting development. And in a way, Middle East is, or nowadays it's more sort of usual to say West Asia is becoming really a hub of networks, and that is it is very important. Also for all the players in this hub, because it brings it's not just the transit route, it really is an economic corridor that is built up around the transit route. And for countries to build resilience, for countries to build diversification and resilience through diversification, it is really important to pay attention to these developments. And in that sense, again, it's interesting how West Asia is playing into all these plans and is becoming a central element of a number of them, least being IMAC, which I believe is probably the most prominent of these ideas, and something that I personally was convinced of from the very beginning for reasons that we can discuss. But I think this is a framework which we will be working on for quite some time.
Thank you. Indeed, we will have the chance to touch upon also IMEC and the links, potential links, if there exist within IMEC and the 3Cs initiative. But before maybe exploring that further, I would like to ask you, you mentioned the Middle East, the region, West Asia generally, but I was wondering which specific regional actors from the Middle East, in the Middle East, can contribute the most to the implementation, the realization of the EU's multi-regional connectivity plans and initiatives, and for what specific reason?
I think it's quite clear also from the development of this plan, that the first idea about it came from the I2U2 framework, that the countries of GCC are central to this. They're central to this because of the geography, but also of their understanding that reaching out on both sides towards India and Europe is putting their economies in a favorable position where, again, they can build up much beyond the transport route. The story of IMAC is an old story. It's an old route. It's called I don't know, 16th, 17th century. There was the spice route. So it's in terms of geography, nothing extraordinarily new. It has been revisited for a number of strategic reasons, and this time, the issue of IMEC and what I think is going to be the most complex is not building a railway or widening or deepening the port, but will be the normative part. Because if you really want to use geographic proximities and you want to create a path that is both quick and safe and reliable and predictable, there has to be an agreement on the set of rules and standards and procedures that will make it possible for a certain cargo, for example, to be uploaded in a port in India and they just go uninterrupted to a port in Europe. And this is something that I believe will require most of not negotiations, but agreement on how this is best done and what is that body of norms and rules that everyone can agree to and everyone can live happily with in terms of movement of goods from one way to another. Another part that is going to be demanding and important to deal with is all infrastructure that we are talking about today is in a way not underpinned, but part of a larger technical network. Nothing can happen today without the involvement of the IT and it's generating valuable data. It is, it's the new economy, and the rules of this new economy will have to be agreed as well. In particular, we are witnessing incredible advancement of artificial intelligence. So how all of this is going to be managed and managed in agreement, I think is probably the biggest question mark. A second one, of course, is a very old one, and that's peace. For all of this, you need peace and you need stability. So hopefully that will take ground, and there will be an opportunity given to economic exchanges, working together, agreeing on different ideas and different norms that would help build large parts of the region.
Thank you. You naturally covered my upcoming question when it comes to the main factors that can impede the implementation of specific project, multi-regional project, and the EU's connectivity plan. I would just like to build on what you said about peace and link maybe to IMEC, which is, as we mentioned, the India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor, to which the EU is a signatory party alongside France, Germany, Italy, India, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States.
And European Commission.
Sorry? And
European Commission.
Yes, the European Union itself. Yeah, definitely the European Commission. It is the case. So I was just wondering, can IMEC be seen or interpreted as a peace initiative? Does IMEC has also a peace potential and a potential to stabilize the region in a sustainable manner? Can it also be?
Yes, it's a very pertinent question. And I have been at least at 2 meetings, conferences in the last month where this was discussed. People look at the root. There is an understanding that the production of goods will be relocating to South and Southeast Asia, and the amount of cargo traveling towards Europe could double by the end of this decade, which means that existing port facilities on the East Mediterranean will not be enough. So there is now a much broader thinking about IMAC really as a larger concept that would include Egypt as well, that would factor in Gaza and reconstruction of economic life in Gaza with building a new port, and also take into consideration and work on Lebanon and Syria. So this is something that makes a lot of sense when you look at that coast. And I know that talks are going on or ongoing related to that. And it's good because it makes people think, and it makes people imagine what else can be done. I believe that in the end, there will be movement in this direction. Again, when we talk about IMAC, we are now talking way beyond the original signatories of the MOU, because more and more people are thinking also in terms of the so-called Indo-Med. So Mediterranean and Indian Ocean becoming one economic, not zone, but one economic space, or a more coherent economic space. And this is linked with a lot of work that European Union is doing. There is a major European pivot to Asia, pivot to West Asia, pivot to India. We hope that the FTA with India will be finished sooner rather than later. The hope is by the end of this year. It is a very important FTA, so I think a lot of effort and a lot of political will has been put into it. But European Union also is reaching out to the Philippines with the FTA negotiations. It has upgraded the economic framework with Indonesia. So again, there is this new emerging economic space, as I said, and we are looking for ways to make it more cohesive through these agreements, through building up of infrastructure, and through agreeing to a commonly shared normative part.
Thank you for this explanation, Ms. Vlahutin. Now we would like to conclude our discussion with one last question. So I briefly mentioned in the introduction, you are currently serving as Croatia's Special Envoy in charge of strategic connectivity and the 3Cs initiative. And we also mentioned IMEC, so I would like to kind of like explore if we can bring the two together to create a broader connectivity network throughout the European Union and of course even beyond. Do you think that these two initiatives and the specific projects that they plan to implement can be integrated? Is it something that is at this point foreseen? And if so, how this integration could happen?
Absolutely. And as you mentioned at the very beginning, so I was in charge of putting EU global connectivity strategy on the table, spent years working on this. And I'm actually myself surprised how exciting work on the three Cs is for a number of reasons. First, this, I believe, is the most consequential connectivity initiative within Europe at the moment. So you have 13 participating states, starting from the Baltic down to the Black Sea and the Adriatic. There are 4 associate partners, that's Montenegro and Albania for the Adriatic, and Moldova and Ukraine for the Black Sea. And there are strategic partners that have shown quite a lot of interest in participating, especially with investments into this space. Just to mention to you, for example, Japanese representatives are really ambitious about work in this part of Europe. They are opening a JBIC office in Warsaw. So I think just that on its own testifies to the interest in this whole space. This is also a part of Europe that has a far bigger economic growth than the Western Europe, which on its own is interesting. It is also a part of Europe where resilience will be further enhanced, including through the support from the next EU budget. And this is a place that has shown dynamism, which I think works extremely well into what we will now try to do. And the idea is really to work on what I call a mother of all North-South connectivity initiatives, is to connect North Europe, Baltics, all the way down through the Mediterranean towards the Indian Ocean. And this really opens a massive opportunity for reconfiguration of many value chains, and is logical, if you wish, and also necessary for a number of reasons. One of them is that navigation through the Red Sea and Suez Canal will be tricky for some time to come. China and Russia are exploring the northern route. So this route on the north-south will be really necessary and needs to be further developed. So the idea is that the 3Cs initiative make a connection with the middle corridor through the Black Sea towards Central Asia, and through the Adriatic Sea to which is part of Mediterranean Sea, of course, to IMAC. And what is important and interesting, and people maybe don't know because they don't see the map that way, but when you look at the geography of it, once you are in the ports in the Adriatic, you're really just a few hours away from Central Europe. You are a few hours away from the industrial heart of Europe. There are 10 ports on the Adriatic. Out of these 10 ports, 6 are in Croatia. And really, it's a short drive, if you wish, up to Central Europe. And this is something that we want to explore and we want to develop further. We, at the same time, of course, want to take care of the Adriatic. It's a precious sea for all of us. But given the need for the diversification of routes, this is a fantastic opportunity to link this part of European Union with, again, West, South, and Southeast Asia. And whoever I talk to, their eyes open a bit, and everyone is curious and enthusiastic and want to look into this deeper. So it's a great pleasure, actually, to work on something like this, because it has very significant potential.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vlahutin. Thank you for this clear overview of the project's prospects. We would be delighted to host you potentially for a follow-up discussion to take stock of the initiatives and projects advancement in about a year's time or a few years' time. So thank you for the discussion and looking forward to the follow-up.
Thank you for having me. Croatia has presidency of the Three Seas Initiative, and we will host a large summit and also back-to-back with a very large economic forum in Dubrovnik at the end of April. And that will be a fantastic opportunity to discuss all of what we have touched on today. And we are looking forward to see our partners and friends from West, South, and Southeast Asia coming and taking part in the economic summit, economic forum as well.
Thank you so much. We look forward to it as well. Thank you, Ms. Vlahutin.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.